Welcome back. And to continue with the Egyptian-Algerian relations and to the visit of Foreign Minister of Algeria, Ramtan Lamamra, as he had an important meeting with President Abdel Fattah Sisi, where he delivered to the President the official invitation to attend the Arab Summit, which is going to take place, inshallah, in November in Algiers. We are very much delighted to have with us via phone Mrs. Suzy Geniedy, Vice Editor-in-Chief of Al Ahram. Thank you very much for being with us, Mrs. Geniedy.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you very much, and we are going to start immediately with the importance of this visit and the challenges which are going to face the coming Arab Summit and the most important topics which should be on the agenda of talks.
Yes, of course. The Arab Summit in Algeria have been postponed, as we all know, from March to November. There is a lot, of course, of files that should be discussed concerning Arab issues, concerning Libya, what's happening in Libya, what's happening in Sudan, Iraq, Lebanon, Iran, and of course maybe a new agreements between the United States and the European Union and Iran. So there is a lot to be discussed actually concerning what's happening on the Arab agenda.
Yeah.
Of course, it was postponed because there was a problem concerning the Syrian file and Syria returning back to the Arab League, to its share in the Arab League. Other countries, some countries, Arab countries, especially Gulf countries, didn't approve. But Algeria wanted Syria to come back, but that's why it was postponed, so that it can give some time to Egypt and other countries to make some diplomatic efforts so that they can reach an agreement about that. And Syria have declared lately that it's not interested now to have its share in the Arab League in the next summit in Algeria. So this one of the files that was actually solved, but still there are other files that need to be discussed, of course, in the Arab Summit.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Mrs. Suzy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Of course, all what you have mentioned are very important files which should be on the agenda of talks. But if you permit me to shed more light on the current global situation, the Arab nation, the Middle East, is also suffering from the very negative repercussions of the Russian-Ukrainian war. And particularly when it comes to the economic file in Lebanon, for example, this is another challenge which needs intervention from the Arab allies, from the Arab countries, to cooperate together for the best interest of the Arab peoples in the light of the negative economic repercussions of the war in the West. Where do you see this as another important file to be discussed in the coming convention?
Of course, it is very important to discuss economic problems. As we all know, there were supposedly an Arab economic summit that was always had before, but unfortunately it stopped. It stopped being held years ago, unfortunately. It first started in 1980, and then it came back to in Kuwait 2009, and then in Sharm el-Sheikh 2011, in Riyadh 2013, and at last in Beirut 2019. And from that time until now, there was no economic summit, Arab summit, that was held to discuss economic issues. So since we have an Arab summit, political and economic Arab summit, then I think what you have mentioned concerning the economic situation and the effect of COVID-19 and the Ukrainian-Russian war on the economic situation of some Gulf countries and some Egypt and other Arab countries like Lebanon, like Sudan, like other Arab countries, all of this I think will be mentioned and will be discussed in the coming summit, which is a very important summit at that time, that the Arab are facing a lot, actually, of concerns, a lot of issues that should be discussed between the leaders of the Arab countries.
Amen to that. And to add to what you're saying, Mrs. Geniedy, regarding the energy issue, when it comes to Algeria, Algeria is very rich in gas. And just a few days ago, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was speaking about the importance of the discovery of Dhuhr here in Egypt. And how do you see this as a win-win situation with the electricity line between us and Jordan and Saudi Arabia, for example, and cooperation in the field of gas, as I said, between Egypt or Algeria and other Arab nations? Can we do a lot of efforts for the best interest of our peoples regarding this issue? And this should be discussed in the coming meetings or gatherings?
Yeah, it is one of the subjects, of course, but as we know also that Egypt is holding a climate change summit in Sharm el-Sheikh in November, which is a very important summit. It's not a summit, actually, it's a conference, but there will be a summit also in this conference concerning leaders of a lot of other countries who will be sharing in this conference. But this conference, the climate change conference, is very important. Of course, this climate change conference is going to discuss a lot of the problems dealing with using emission of gases, using carbon dioxide emission and gases emission that's affecting the universe, and one of them is, of course, the petrol and the natural gas. Natural gas is less than the petroleum, of course. But concerning on Arab scale, of course, a cooperation between Arab countries in concerning natural gas and other subjects are very important. Arab countries are now facing a challenge concerning the secureness of food, actually food secureness, because of the problems that's happening after the boycotts that was between the EU and the United States of America against Russia after the Ukrainian-Russian war, and the problems exporting wheat and other very important materials to Arab countries and other countries all over the world. So we need to discuss how we can secure our food as Arab countries together.
This is it. It's
how we can cooperate in this subject. This is very important.
It's a must.
And of course, we know that Egypt and Jordan and Algeria are having cooperation concerning natural gas. And as we know that Egypt, that Algeria was the first country that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi visited after he held power in 2014, because of the cooperation of Algeria with Egypt concerning a lot of problems that Egypt faced before that.
Amen to that. Very well said, ma'am. Well, Mrs. Suzy Geniedy, Vice Editor-in-Chief of Al Ahram, thank you very much for your input and have a very good afternoon.
Thank you.
Well, by this we come to the end of this episode of Arab Affairs. Till we meet again same time on Nile TV International. On behalf of my dear colleague and friend Mona Msalhi, myself Nermeen Abdurrahman, many thanks for watching. Stay tuned only on Nile TV International, always for more.